Well, yes, one of the things what I wanted to talk about is um, the. I once shared with some agents the way in which you can learn anything, right? Anything you want to know how to do, how you can learn it quickly. And it actually involved a couple of steps. One of them was, and if you, the simple approach is simply finding videos that, like, for example, I prefer videos than reading a book, right, or an ebook. Sometimes I combine the two, but I would rather have somebody explain it to me. Notice that there's a button here on my YouTube because that I've logged into that says download. There's also a button up here that's also a download helper. And what I've done is I installed an extension. They're available for Firefox and Chrome and virtually all the browsers. It's called a YouTube downloader. And what happens if I click that button, this particular video I can download in various formats to my hard drive. I've also installed a program which is called VLC, which is the Video Land Recorder. And VLC, if you, just to show you, I might as well since I'm doing this, if you type in VLC in Google, you're going to see download VLC player. And what VLC player is, notice that little orange cone. It allows me to replay videos at different speeds. I can make them go faster or slower. So, for example, there is a great video series, and the guy who did it, I think, was from Louisiana. And the way he did it, he would say, "Hi, this is Jason Caldwell. I'm the lead," right? You understand? Well, by the time I'm listening to it, it sounds like he's from Brooklyn, right? Because what I would do is I would then replay the video and I would keep nudging the speed up until it was as fast as I could easily still understand what he's saying. Sometimes the videos I could watch in less than half the time of what it would take if I just played them on YouTube. Right. So what I've done, I've also subscribed to a bunch of different sources. And my YouTube, I get a list of all the different subscriptions that have been updated. My YouTube channel is 24 San Jose. If you go there, you can see the things that I've subscribed to. Right, and so by doing this, there's a Keller Williams International has one. Rick Jiha is a trainer for Keller Williams and a partner in the Keller Williams in Fremont, I believe, in Pleasanton. Does a lot. He's a KW University instructor, and so he's only made 460 videos. I feel so inadequate because I've only got like 70. But the idea is that you could go there and watch. He does a video every day, and that way it comes to me. The other thing that I do with this is I would search, and one of the things that I've set up is video search. And let's say I wanted to know how to use Facebook for real estate. Notice that pops up already. And if I click on that, what I usually do, instructional videos are usually longer. Something that is 4 minutes or less is an advertisement for somebody's program. Right? You understand? They're not going to tell you anything useful other than send me $500 and I'll explain how you can use Facebook. If you click on a 20-plus minute one, which you're going to find are people that have actually recorded, by the way, some of them are mine, that you're going to find, and look at they're over. There's a whole bunch of them, and there are varying lengths. You also probably notice you could do the search for the past year. Facebook has a tendency to change a lot. So if I wanted to know more about short sales, if I wanted to know about FHA loans, if I wanted to know about VA loans, if I wanted to know about first-time home buying loan programs, do you think loan agents have done seminars explaining their loan products and recorded them and put them on YouTube? And the answer is yes, right? Now this, I've had people say, well, I was going to go to college to learn something. I wouldn't go to college to learn something about real estate, right? Because most of the people that teach in college are failed real estate agents. That's why they're teaching in college, right? Not everybody, but I have friends that teach at college because they can't sell real estate, right? That's why they're there at a junior college. Right. So if you wanted to know something about loans, you could type in, let's say, FHA loans. Now, I happen to like videos, but here's a 58-minute video on what is an FHA loan. Right. And what you're going to find is that lenders are going to have series of these rules for qualifying for a mortgage after bankruptcy. FHA mortgage insurance issues webinars. There have been some changes. Look, if I click on past month, I'm going to find long videos, training videos. I could pick different links if I wanted to. But if I wanted to know about short sales, you get the idea, right? You just ask. And the other thing that I would recommend that you do is you set up alerts. I've discussed this before. And if you create an alert for FHA loans, which I already have, so I'm not going to do it again, but if I type in an alert for FHA loans and I use Google Reader, which means it comes into a feed, and I create an alert, it's going to automatically be searching everything. By everything, it means news, blogs, videos, discussions, and ebooks. Everything. Google will be searching all the time, 24 hours a day, for anything about FHA loans. It'll grab those articles and stick them in my reader, and I can create a folder, which I've done, called FHA loans. If you're saying, well, how do I learn how to use Google Reader? So I go to video search. That's Google Voice. I would go to video search and I type in Google. How about this? How do I use Google Reader? Right? And I hit enter, and guess what I'm going to find? Right? Video after video after video. How do I use Google Reader? Real estate agents would send me emails. The emails would say things like, how do I find pictures that I can use on my web page that are royalty free and I don't have to worry about copyright? What I would do is I would take their email, I would copy that sentence, go to Google, open a new tab, paste it in, hit search, copy the top of it, which is the link, and email it back to them. Right? Do you understand? All I would do is copy. Some of them found it annoying after I'd done it 4 or 5 times. I would take the email that they wrote to me asking me the question, copy the question, paste it in Google, hit search, and then send the results back to them. Right? You understand? I would rather you learned how to fish. Right? I would rather you learned how to do this. You can find anything you want to know. Anything you want to know, and if you want to be kept, I was asked to speak. I used to teach a college course in appraisal in a different life, and I was asked to do a class on the HVCC, which stands for the Home Valuation Code of Conduct. So I created a Google alert on the Home Valuation Code of Conduct, and in 3 weeks I turned it off. Because by that time I had way more than enough information about the Home Valuation Code of Conduct. I wasn't seeing anything new anymore. All right. So does this make sense to everybody, right? And if you like to watch the videos, VLC will allow you to play them back faster or even slower, right? Rather, if you're watching it on YouTube, you need to have a connection to the internet. It needs to be a good connection to buffer the YouTube video, but you have to listen to it at the speed that they deliver it, right? Which I find annoying at times. Anyhow, was that I just wanted to cover that, right? Right. So that's not what we're talking. What we're talking about today is accountability, and we're going to begin. This is power session number 5. Get your head in the game. Is everybody on that page? You've just completed a week's worth of learning, doing, and building your business. How are you doing? First of all, there's an assumption here that you've completed a week's worth of learning, doing, and building your business, right? Some of you maybe more than others. You may be enjoying every aspect, or you may feel overwhelmed. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you're in the right place, all right? You understand? If you're feeling overwhelmed.
That's good to know.
That's good to know, right? There's a saying that your business will grow only as much as you do, right? And if you're comfortable with what you're doing, then you're probably not doing enough. If you're uncomfortable, uncomfortableness occurs when you're growing. It doesn't occur when you're not. Now, there's, just to give you, I'm just going to say this, but there's an agent who's relatively new. He's been in the business a while, but new, and wants to do, is unhappy because he doesn't have business, wants to do open houses, right? So show him, well, here's an open house that's available, right, to do. It's a vacant house, it's available. The agent just listed it. Vacant houses, really good, because you don't have to, you just do the open house. He looks at it and he says, oh, well, I'd rather do a nicer area, right? He's got no clients, right? But I'd rather do a nicer area. It was suggested he come to Ignite to learn about how to build his business, and he said, well, but it's a little too far. It's out of my way, right? So now I know that this person is not going to make it, right? Do you understand that? I know that, right? I've been doing this long enough. I don't always know who's going to make it, but I generally know who's not going to make it, right? Do you understand? Because you have to have a minimum level of commitment and the willingness to do things that you may not want to do, right? Do you understand? I happen to live in Campbell. I know how far this is from the Campbell office, and it is not very far, right? You know? I know that, right? And if I didn't have any clients, I would be holding every vacant house open, right? You know, why not, right? The worst that's going to happen is nothing. But so as you learned in Power Session 1 Rev Up, the first week of your journey, the first few, it will be the hardest as you establish new habits. The habit that, I don't know if I've actually mentioned this, but the habit is called the Daily 10-4. I don't know if I mentioned that yet. So, by the way, I'm going through Bold. At Bold, they want you to make 20 calls a day, 20 contacts a day, right? But
cold calls, like the expired.
Actually talking to people on the phone, right? And we did a session where agents that had come were asked to call people, and basically the script was, I'm taking a class and we're having a contest, which we were, and to see how many referrals I can get. Do you know of anybody that might be interested in buying or selling real estate? And after they did this for 45 minutes, people afterwards were not only, there were like 8 or 9 listing appointments generated from the calls that were being made. Right? And people that were saying, well, this doesn't sound like me, I don't really want to do this, was doing it, and people were, one guy said, really, it's a contest. He said, I'm on a bowling league, and what I'm going to do is can I come by the office and talk to you, because maybe everybody on my bowling league, you could call them, and, you know, so that you can win the contest, right? So, but do you understand, it takes effort. You need to be doing this every day, right? In other words, if you were to, let's say, call 50 people one day rather than 10 people every day, right? Now, not only, this may sound like it doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't work as well. For whatever reason, I used to do this thing where I would write 25 letters a day. And I found that if I did 125 at once, I didn't get the same results as doing 25 a day. Right? And you'd say, well, it's the same number you should be getting, but for whatever reason, it isn't the same. The other thing is that it doesn't develop a habit. Right? So when I had a habit where I would get up and I would write 25 letters every day and send them to people, that habit became part of my program. Right? Do you understand? This is what I did. And what you need to do, if you're going to be successful, is you need to develop habits of doing the right things. Yes?
So I have a question on the vacant homes.
How do you know which vacant and how can you just show it?
MLS, the multiple listing service, will tell you which ones are vacant and which ones are not.
Which means like the seller is out of town or whatever?
No, by vacant it means that there's nobody in it. There's usually no furniture. It's empty, right? And the MLS, and so the idea was, again, this was an agent who, I'm not picking on him, but he's obviously not here, right? Because, this is too far to go to a class. He would want agents to let him know if they wanted him to do an open house, right? Which is not the system I've suggested to you, is it? Right? And if you use KWSV as the broker code, it gets both offices. And KWSC is the broker code for our Santa Cruz office, which means we're all one broker. And if you ran all of those listings and looked at the active listings, you could probably find some. Can you find anybody, Sharmila, that will let you do an open house?
I did open house.
How did you get that open house?
I informed Jamie,
Uh-huh.
the Campbell office, that I want to hold an open house. Last Saturday was my open house.
Right.
So, and she emailed me on Friday morning, and the Matt Castle.
Matt, uh-huh.
I hold his open
From the
house
office?
Saturday.
Wow. How did it go?
That's how you do it. Just ask somebody.
Yeah.
I just informed Jamie, and I spoke to her later, Lisa.
This is hard. What? So yeah, you see that's.
That was fun, actually.
Oh, it was fun. Did you meet anybody that
I made like 5 to 8 contacts.
5 to 8
And there
contacts?
was another couple who liked that place, but then they said we want to move a bigger house. So I saw a property here on the Blossom Hill.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom house. So they wanted to see that. So I said I'll be late after 4. So they said we are.
Was that 95136?
No, 95123.
Oh, okay.
So, and I showed them and they liked it. Yesterday night that person texted me and they were saying we are postponing right now because we want to sell our house first. We want to sell, actually they're already under the contract with the listing agent.
All right.
They will sell and then they will look for another house.
All right.
So what should I reply back to him? Like, I didn't text him.
Well, why don't you? We can talk about this, but there is a way for them to buy if their house is in escrow now. Right, there are things called bridge loans or swing loans that they could do that would bridge that gap. And if this house is probably not going, the one that they saw is not going to be available. Right, it's not going to be available.
Right.
They can make it a contingent
Right.
based upon the sale of their house. That's not as strong of an offer in the seller's market,
Right.
but there's you just need to keep following up with them. Right, set up a search so that you send them properties that meet their criteria. My recommendation for doing an open house is you run all of the office listings and you look at them, right? And you set yourself up for an email alert under the MLS. By the way, the MLS has a YouTube channel also, which I subscribe to, right? I subscribe to channels, which means whenever they add a new video, I get an email that says that MLS Listings has added a new video. And if it's something I care about, I watch it. And so you can set up an email alert so every time anybody in our company takes a listing, you get an email. Right? And then you could call them and say, do you want, congratulations. Do you need anybody to do an open house this weekend? Right? You would think listing agents always want to do this. You have no idea how little listing agents want to do this. Right? Little sometimes. When you have a bunch of listings, you do not want to do open houses. Right, you understand? I used to have a whole lot of listings and I never did an open house, right? Because I didn't want to. Right? I wanted to watch football, I wanted to go away, I wanted to do other things, and I wanted to come back Sunday night and to have voice messages from agents who had spent the weekend showing property saying that they had offers on my listings. That's what I wanted, right? You understand? That's what I wanted, right? So don't think that they don't want anybody to do an open house, right? I wouldn't think that way. So, but you understand you need to make this a habit. Can you learn? Have I showed you enough to know how to learn how to set up an email alert for yourself that says anytime anybody from our company has listed a house, right? Right? You may need to add what's called an additional search criteria under Matrix. That's the MLS called listing broker code, right? And you add that and you do a search with KWSV or KWSC, because people from Santa Cruz may be even less likely to want to come over the hill to do an open house. Right?
Question.
Yeah.
So when I will call that expired listing, how should I start? Like what should I say?
An expired listing. We have scripts for that. What I always used to say is, first of all, are we talking about a recently expired or expired a long time ago?
Recently expired.
Recently expired. All right. First of all, you need to make sure that they haven't listed the home with somebody else. So the standard thing that you would say to them is you say, hi, this is Mike, I'm with Keller Williams. I was looking through the multiple listing service and I saw that your home was on the market, but it's currently not on the market. Can I ask you a question? Do you still want to sell your home? Would you still want to sell your home? Right? And then they, you hear a bunch of different things. What I would always say to them is, there's probably a reason why your home did not sell when it was on the market before, and by the way, it's not the price. Right? There is a reason why your home didn't sell, and it isn't price. Would you be willing to let me come out and talk to you about it? Now, the reason why their home did not sell before, that's not necessarily price related, is that the mistake they made is they hired a listing agent and not a marketing agent. Listing agents list homes. Marketing agents market homes, right? And so somebody that has a lot of listings in the area and a lot of names on the right are obviously good at personal promotion, not necessarily good at property promotion. The way you get listings is by promoting yourself, not by selling the ones you have, right? So then marketing, and then we're going to have a class coming up on a listing presentation. We have a 14-point marketing plan, but the idea is that now pricing becomes a strategy in marketing. If you've been to a store, you notice they change their prices all the time. They have coupons, right? This is a strategy. Marketing is a strategy, right? It's not a fixed thing, right? Properties aren't just worth a fixed amount and that's it. It all depends. How bad do you want to sell, right? As an example. Right. By the way, if you were to Google search expired listing scripts and Google search for videos, how do I talk to an expired listing, guess what you're going to find? Right? You're going to find videos and blog posts and all sorts of things. Right? But that's the basic approach, is to confirm that they're still in the market of selling it. They'll ask, why didn't you, sell it when it was on the market? Well, because it wasn't your listing. Right? You spend your time selling your listings. Right? We market our listings. We work with our direct clients first. All right. Is that good enough? Yeah. All right. The biggest challenge you have in this course and in this business is you. Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good. There's an old line from the comic strip Pogo, which not the online game, but there was a comic strip called Pogo, and they were talking and they said, we have met the enemy, and they are us. You have to buy into the models and systems of Ignite, the daily 10-4, 3 hours of lead generation, and your big why. When you want it in a big way and get out of your own way, you will have your head in the game. I can't tell you how many times I've had people come, new agents, sometimes used agents. Well, anyhow, not new agents, but not successful agents who will come, either not come at all, right? Not even show up, or say, well, I'm going to pick and choose, right? I don't want to do that. I don't like that script. I'm going to write my own, right? Some people have never sold a home, but already they know more, right? Our problem as an organization is not figuring out what you need to do to be successful. This is not our problem. Our problem is finding people that are willing to do it, right? If you were to buy and you have to think of this like buying a franchise. If you bought a McDonald's franchise, would they want you to mess with the system? Could you start making up your own meals, right? Would they allow you to have Bow Wow burgers and Oink Oink dogs? Would they let you do that, right? Have a bar maybe, McLiquor, right? Would you like a McBeer with that, right? They're not going to let you mess with the system. They do, France. Yes, I know that. A McChianti. How about that? So, but you understand, they're going to say no, right? If you want to make up your own stuff, then start your own hamburger restaurant. Isn't that what they tell you? Right? But it ain't going to be a McDonald's, right? Well, you're like a mini franchisee, right? You understand? You've bought into a system for marketing and selling real estate. And frankly, I've told agents this: if you're not interested in using our system, then you might as well go work someplace else. You might as well, right? Find some little fly-by-night office that doesn't have any systems, because you obviously don't like them, right? And you can work on it all by yourself, right? Figure it out on your own. I'm just saying that, and how many, 90 days. What I'm suggesting is that you try our system for 90 days and see how it goes. I've been the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Does everybody have a copy of that book? Yeah? That's,
I have it, but I didn't even pass the test.
yes, that's good.
Has it changed?
No.
Because I have one from.
It's an old book, but it's most of it. What I told Sharmila about how to answer expired listings, I learned in the early 1980s. You know, I mean, so I don't. It hasn't changed that much, and the changes have been covered in his book Shift, which I would also recommend. All right. Gary Keller, co-founder and chairman of the board of Keller Williams Realty, writes that your business will ultimately be a reflection of you. If it is to change, improve, and grow, you will have to too. That doesn't sound good. Your ability and willingness to work on yourself will, in a large part, determine how far you and your business go. Your business will grow as much as you do. For those of you people that have been in the business, right, and they say, well, I've already, have a system worked out. My message to them is, if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. Right? Do you understand? If you don't change, things don't change. Right? And by the way, this may involve one of the parts about this. Rick Jiha was talking about big whys and things like that. Is that we might have to become more effective people in order to make money at real estate. And you understand the process of time blocking and focusing and getting things done can start to spill over into other areas of our life, right? By being successful, it's not just that you'll get money, you can grow as a person through that process. And then you also can get some money. Today's plan of action, we want to check in on what you've accomplished this week, evaluate wins, time block. I'm going to show a little bit about that. Visit your goals, bring your big why to life with a vision board. That sounds like fun. Gear up. Things that you're going to need with you is a calendar, your daily 10-4, tracking your big why and value propositions. And one of the things that I would recommend, I'm logging into Keller Williams, and I'm going to recommend the videos. If you go to kw.com, right, and you log in, and you go to technology, and go to E-Edge, and it's slower than me today. All right, E-Edge. All right. First of all, new is my mobile app. That's something you ought to learn about. One of the things that KW is doing is they're creating an app that people can use on their cell phones, and they're making 78,000 of them, which means that every agent will get their own. And so on a site which is called eAgency, which is one of the things I help agents set up, they can go there and people can download an app. The app is way cool. First of all, for them, if it has, obviously cell phones, smartphones have GPSs. If they stand in front of a house, the app will know which house they're standing in front of and will display that information. They don't have to punch in, they don't have to do that. and it's branded with your name, your phone number, and your contact information. This will be, it says KW, but it's got your stuff on the app.
Okay, so I just got one of the Samsung Galaxy 3.
It's a good phone.
Yeah, so you can help me set that up.
Yes,
right?
part of what I do is help people set it up, right? But we're going. It's not that hard to do. Once you,
So that app is already in?
I don't know if it's already in. I'd have to click on my mobile app and look at it, but it's coming. I think this is simply,
But that's tied through MLS, right?
well, it's done by tied through MLS. What it's done, yes, but it's coming in January of 2013. When we did those forms for you for the MLS, I assume they sent you an email too, saying that it had been approved. That makes the connection between our MLS and what KW Technology has, which is what makes the app work. All right, and then there's new technology tips. There's a archive training, and there's this long, wow, there's a lot of archive. Look at this one here. It says, do the daily 10-4. First of all, these technology training webinars, you're going to see that service your leads or complements with eEdge is complements of Ignite. Increase your database IQ is Ignite. Cultivate your relationships with 33 touch campaigns is Ignite. Build relationships with 8x8 complements of Ignite. The Daily 10-4, this is a webinar where they show how to use the eEdge system to track your daily 10-4. For those of you that like technology, like toys, this is that group I would recommend, right? And you notice that there's a bunch of videos here that are based on Ignite. Enhance your campaigns with social media, complements of Ignite. By the way, if you do Control F in virtually any browser and you type in Ignite, what it's going to do is start showing you everywhere Ignite appears on that page, and then if you're having trouble finding them, I would watch those videos, right? I would just saying. All right.
I've been noticing that you're talking about feeling overwhelmed. There's so much to learn on these sites that I wind up and I look up and it's 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I haven't done other things because I've been doing this stuff. And it's like, it's like I don't know anything about technology. So
Right. Well, you don't have to. Believe me, a lot of our top agents don't know anything about technology. And once we get it set up, it's a rote thing. You're doing the same thing over and over again, right? Like anything, it's harder at the beginning because you have to learn how to do it, right? But it's not overwhelming. We have agents that are doing a lot of business that don't know very much about technology, right? Believe me, because they talk to me. Right. I've actually had an agent say to me she wanted to use my computer because she said Yahoo was on my computer. And I had to start to explain what the World Wide Web was and how it worked. Right. It was that basic. Right. But and we're going to talk about time blocking. Affirmations are important. Most of us repeat the same thoughts. They did a study where they were testing people's brains and watching them fire, and the idea was it was testing how many thoughts were coming in people's brains, and it was like 70,000 thoughts a day, and 7 to 8 of them were accounted for most of the thoughts. In other words, there were the same 7 or 8 thoughts over and over and over, like 10,000 times. Now, the question is, are those thoughts positive thoughts or negative thoughts? And if they're negative thoughts, like this isn't going to work, everybody's going to be mad at me for contacting them, no one's going to like me if I'm a salesperson, there isn't any inventory, people aren't making any money in the business, that sort of thing. If that's the thoughts, then that affects whether or not and how well you're going to be in the business. There was an agent that was a somewhat used agent that I had recruited that's at the office, and there was a meeting, and there's another agent who's particularly negative, explaining why he wasn't able to do anything and wasn't able to sell any homes. And so this other agent, she said, "Oh, I would like to talk to you," right? The negative one, right? I'd like to get, because you're, and I told her, I said, "You do not want to talk to this guy, right? You understand?" Right? Why don't you see if you can get 10 minutes with Quincy, who's closing a transaction a week? Right? Do you understand? He has a different perspective of the real estate market because he's closing a transaction a week. Right? You understand? The only thing you can learn from losers are excuses for losing. Right? And if there's somebody that's saying the market is bad, you can't make any money, it's going to be 6 months before you get a check, right? Don't listen to those people. One of the great shows that illustrated this concept, I still have the tapes of it and the DVDs, was Baywatch, right? You remember that? Some of you remember that show, Baywatch? And Baywatch, yeah, this was Baywatch, right? So in Baywatch, right, if those of you that, somebody, every once in a while somebody was drowning. Right, you understand that was normally not a plot line, but every once in a while somebody was drowning. And so what would happen is that they would run in slow motion, right? And then swim out, but they wouldn't swim out to the person and grab onto them. Right? Did you understand? What they would do is stop a few feet away and throw this pontoon, right, with a cord, and they'd let the person grab onto the pond. Then they would drag them in with the cord. Why didn't they swim out and grab onto the person? Because that person would grab onto them and take them down too. Drowning people have an urge to grab onto others and take them down too. Right? So you should stay away from those people. Right? Do you understand? You throw the pontoon at them, right, and walk away. I'm serious about this. All right? So what you want to do, this is sort of like software for the mind. Affirmations. I am learning and accomplishing more and more each day. You should, let's say when you're having breakfast or on the mirror in the bathroom, you should put these and focus on them. And when this little thing here is from Bold, and when you have a negative thought, you're supposed to snap it and put it on the other hand, right? That's the idea, so that it's a break in neuro-linguistic program. It's called a pattern interrupt, right?
There's little booklets of affirmations that you can get. They're about this big, and there's one for each day, and you can do that every morning before you go out into the world. It really works, and it makes you more positive.
It's positive, yeah, and however, mindset is important. Because is it that hard to talk to 10 people a day? I mean, really, right? Do you understand? Given an 8-hour day, would it really be hard to find 10 people to talk to? Probably not, right? Do you understand? At Bold, level 2 would be 20 people a day. And once this becomes a habit, there are people that become addicted to it, that want to. I don't even know how to say this, but the top agent in the Keller Williams system spoke at Mega Camp, and the reaction from some of the people from our group was, wow, if that guy can do it, why am I not selling more real estate? This guy did not look good. He did not talk good. He had this twitch when he talked. I'm not kidding. There's videos of him. And yet, but you understand? I mean, and maybe he's successful because of that, right? But he time blocks and he does the work and he gets the results, right? And in fact, I may show that video sometime of him talking at Mega Camp, because people are going, oh, he's number one, right? Recap what you've done. All right, so what you should have done by now if you started at the beginning, and everybody that doesn't have a copy of all the handouts, let me know. I'll print them out. If you've missed a session, I've recorded all the sessions. I have my last record. Which one? Monday. You have to. Afterwards, I'll print things that are missing.
So all your YouTubes are on?
There will be.
Okay.
I have them all. I have them all. All of them are on my YouTube channel, but they're private right now. But I'm going to put them all on. For the people that I'm coaching, I'm going to put all the videos on there. But I have them. Where was I going with this? The other thing is how do you get copies of the handouts? All right. Now I'm being, I'm giving you copies of the handouts. But if I were to go to mykw.com and I were to type in Ignite in the search box, this is real. I know this is difficult stuff. So I type in Ignite, and what's going to come up eventually is KW University course called Ignite. And if I click on that, notice it says downloads available. I can download by session, or I could just click on student and I could download all of them in one zip file. All of them, all at once. You could read ahead, right? Ignite, download by sessions. You can even download the instructor sessions, scripts. You can download them all, right? And so that would be, I want you to learn how to fish, right? So you log into kw.com, search for Ignite, click student, download them all into one zip file, unzip them. That's how I got them, right? Notice there's also a thing here called Toolkit, and you can download all the Toolkit files. And there are buyer and seller tools, buyer tools, open house tools, productivity tools, and seller tools, right? You could download them all individually. Why not download all Toolkit files in one zip and unzip it and you have them all, right? KW Connect has listing, these are videos that have been made that go along with different power sessions, which you could also watch if you felt like it. If you wanted to watch them in Spanish or in Canadian, which is a really funny language, you could do them there, right? Right? So, does that make sense to everybody, right? There's videos, KW Connector videos, Toolkit is a toolkit of stuff. There's all the materials.
The one in Spanish was a toolkit or what?
No, it's I don't know. It's all of the handouts in Spanish. These things in Spanish. And we also have a section of all of the handouts in Canadian.
So if we have a friend who we would like to join us at KW,
Mm-hmm.
and she speaks both the English and Spanish, she could use this material to prepare herself to talk to people.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, yes and no. We have Spanish language brochures and things like that, which is probably, this is this class, right? And there are areas in the United States where Ignite is taught in Spanish, right? This is not one of those. All right.
So Mike, Ignite is, I mean, there's other people that teach Ignite, or when you put Ignite, you said some people do it in Spanish?
Not here, but like in Florida, I know that there's some, and in Southern California, I know of some offices that have a Spanish version of Ignite for Spanish-speaking agents who have Spanish-speaking clients and want to learn Ignite in Spanish.
So it's still with Keller Williams?
So with Keller Williams, yeah, this is all Keller Williams stuff.
Okay.
Right. We have offices, there's even an office in Southern California who does it in Chinese. Right. There, I don't, yeah. So, all right. So that's how you get copies of all the handouts. Now, this list here, recap what you have done. If you haven't done this, my suggestion would be that you start doing this. One is set a financial goal and calculate the number of transactions you need to reach it. That was covered in RevUp. The forms are coming up again. Two, you should get, that says got, because it assumes you have your database contacts organized, entered them into eEdge, and launched many of your contacts on an 8x8 and 33 touch campaigns. If you don't know how to import your contacts into eEdge, guess what? There are videos on how to import your contacts into eEdge. If I just do Control F because I'm lazy and I type in import, I find under eEdge helpful tips, import contacts into eEdge. It took them 2 minutes and 26 seconds to explain this. If you're having trouble, talk to me. The key is that your Excel spreadsheet, there's a spreadsheet which you might want to download. When you get to eEdge and you get to import, there's a place to download a spreadsheet. It's sometimes easier to take that spreadsheet and copy and put in the columns. If you're having trouble, talk to me. Right? But you want to get everybody into eEdge, and you want to launch these campaigns. 8 touches in 8 weeks and 33 touches in a year. Somebody noticed who launched them that was looking at them is they give you scripts and tell you what to say. What do you call?
So this 8x8, it will touch 8 times.
Once a week for 8 weeks.
Once a week.
And then 33 touch would be 33 touches in a year, which is about a little more than every 10 days.
So how is it helpful? Like why it's so important, like 8x8 campaigns?
Well, the beginning of the 8x8, which I shared in a class, was a company had done a marketing test, and they found that by making up a real estate agent, somebody that didn't exist with a fake photo, stock photo, and a phone number that didn't work, and a website that didn't go anywhere, and mailing it a brochure once a week for 8 weeks, and then calling and asking homeowners who is the #1 real estate agent in their market, they named the guy that didn't exist. Right, because they had heard from him once a week for 8 weeks. Right, they hadn't called him, but they saw the name and they saw the picture. Right, what your question is sort of like asking me, why does Coca-Cola run so many commercials? Right, why do they have their ads on buses? Why do they have billboard ads? Why do they have magazine ads? Why do they have radio ads? Why do they have TV ads?
So 8x8 is not a call necessarily, email or...
It's usually, those are 8 by emails, 8 contacts.
Okay.
Right, 33 touch involves calls. Right, if you were interested in learning more about these, guess what? Guess what? Build relationships with the 8x8 campaign, Compliments of Ignite. Cultivate relationships with 33 touch. So the best practices is you launch 8x8 first and then 33 touch. Right? And so there are videos on how to, that go into great detail how to use these. Okay. I know I'm a broken record, right? But call people that you have met and ask them for a referral. Do we have scripts for that? Yes. Make a list of allied resources and market center resources and set appointments to meet with them. How many of you have met with the title rep? Couple. How about a home warranty? How about a natural hazard disclosure?
No.
How many of you know what's covered in a natural hazard disclosure? Right? Would it be a good idea? What's the difference between the basic package and the full package?
The full package has more disclosures in it.
What's the big one?
The big one?
How about, is there an environmental one? Environmental is a big one, right? That's covered in the full package. It's not covered in the basic package.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, I had to renew my license this year, and they have a whole lot of new stuff that they're covering that's really important for the health of your...
Right. So yes, and if when I represented buyers, I would make sure they understood what the value was of getting the environmental disclosures, which are not required by law and are an upgrade versus just the basic disclosures. Do you think it would be a good idea that you could read a natural hazard disclosure and know what it talks about and be able to explain that to somebody? Right? How would you ever find these people? Walk into any of the rooms at the office and there's stacks of brochures, right, all over the place. Grab one and call the picture of the friendly smiling face right, that's connected to the brochure, and ask them, tell them that you're a new agent at Keller Williams and you'd like to know if they have any training classes. By the way, do you think if you Google searched videos, you might find things that explain this, including sample natural hazard disclosures? Do you think that the natural hazard disclosure companies already have stuff explaining how they work? Define your big why and your value proposition. This was from Ignite, session 1, Rev Up, right? This is something to focus on. Time block your calendar for the daily 10-4 and protect this time. One of the things that I know I've shared with you, but I'm going to do it again because of repetition, is I have a website called Network Rainmaker. And if you were to click on Mike's videos, you're going to see that I have Google Calendar and Tasks, Part 1 and Part 2. I also have Getting Things Done with Google. I would recommend that you watch those, right? But for example, when I go to my calendar, it looks insane. But if I go to my calendar, let's say I'm doing this just as an example. Let's say I was going to spend from 9 to 11. Notice how when I drag it, it says 9 to 11, right? Does everybody see how that, right? And I were to say lead generation, and I click on edit event, I could say I want this to repeat which days of the week at those times, and when, if ever, I want it to end. And what it will do is it'll put that in my calendar. Notice I already have it set up to send me a reminder 10 minutes before. I could have it send me an email. I can have it pop up. I could have it do all those things. I could have it pop up, email me, and send me a text message that reminds me. Could this be important if you have appointments and things like that, that it sent you? My Google Calendar emails me every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning with my schedule, which my cell phone was capable of reading. It's an email, right? Every morning it sends me an email with my schedule for that day. To do this well, you understand organizing and blocking your times. You can color coordinate it. You can have different colored calendars. You can share it. I'm not going to get into all that, but you understand that? And any smartphone will read Google Calendar. Right? And it reminds me. My calendar reminds me that I had a class called Ignite this morning. Notice here how this red bar is moving through the day. I have it set up so this is a custom setup, which I explain on those videos. Notice I have here things to do. I have a bunch of different calendars. I've set this up. I explain how to do this, right, so that you can get organized.
Do you set up your marketing time for only 5 days a week, or do you do it for 7 days a week?
Do you mean lead generation?
Generation, yeah.
Our suggestion is that you do it 5 times a week. That you block a couple hours a day, 5 times a week to do this. Because your goal is to add 10 people to your database, connect with 10 people, and write 10 handwritten notes every day, 5 days a week. Right? And that's I share in the first class how you could, if you did 10 people a week, that's 5 days, times 10 is 50 a week, times 50 weeks, because you take a couple weeks off, is 2,500 contacts you would have made. If you assume that people move once every 15 years, right? Because in our marketplace it varies. 8 is the national average, but we're not average. So if you divide that by 15, those 2,500 contacts represent 166 transactions. Right, assuming that they move every 15 years, and assuming that you're not likable and not good at sales, so that 90% of those people won't work with you, but 10 will, 10%, that's 16 transactions rounded down. That's 16 transactions. You understand? From 10 people a day with following up. like 33 touch and 8x8. And it's not going to happen immediately because we're talking about a year's worth, but do you understand if you were doing this on a consistent basis, how doing 16 transactions a year is not very hard, right? That's assuming that they move every 15 years, and that's conservative, and that you only get 10% of the business, right? If you could get 20% of the business, you'd be doing better, all right? So at 20 contacts a day, right? Now you're up to 32, right? 30. We think you can do 36 transactions a year. So time block your calendar for the daily 10-4. Protect this time, right? This is if you should think of it like a doctor's appointment or something, right? You're not going to cancel it. You're not going if somebody wants to talk to you, you say I'm at work, right? I'll meet with you later. You should have identified a property and be prepared to do an open house this weekend. KWSV is our broker code. And you should get your business tools in place. And of course, if you've been doing this by now, you've probably added at least 40 people, right, to your database, right? 40 at least.
No, at least 20.
And contacted 40 people, right? If you've done this and wrote 40, so these numbers. This is our first accountability session. There's going to be more of them as we go through. So I'm warning you so you can avoid these classes in the future. And but what we're going to do. There's something called Red Bold over at the Campbell office. I'm going to be doing something similar over here, and basically it's an accountability session. Right, where you make goals. If I found that if I want to lose weight, it's easier if I tell other people I'm doing it. Right? You understand? Because then when I'm eating with them, they'll look at it and say, "I thought you were losing weight. I thought you were on a diet. You know, what are you doing? Why are you having that? Right? You know, isn't that right? Isn't that right? And if you were to, one of the things I signed up for is this Weight Watcher online tracking system, right, where you put down the points and things like that, and you record your weight. Do you understand? I found that just by recording that information, paying attention to what I'm eating, and recording my weight, I've lost like 8 or 9 pounds, right? Now, that's because I'm inspecting what I'm doing, right? I'm tracking. This is true for this too, right? You understand? If you set goals and then keep the goals and then track it, you're more likely to be successful than if you don't do those things. This is not rocket surgery, right? Is it? Rocket surgery? I ain't no rocket surgeon. So, what did you achieve this week? Who's in the lead? I think she's Sharmila may be in the lead. I don't know. So, these are things which you really ought to. Let's look at this one here. Does everybody see this particular one? As CEO of you. All right, we're going to write a number, and then we're going to grade everybody else. And then we're going to average the scores for each person, and I'm posting them on our website. No. So, no, if as CEO of you, rate your performance of the first week using a scale of 1 to 5. 5 being excellent, you're perfect now. And again, but the idea is to give yourself an honest assessment of where you are, and then ask yourself, what do you need to do to get to 5? One of the things, by the way, when on the listing appointment, I would used to ask people at the end of the listing appointment on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being terrible and 10 being we're ready to sign. Where would you rate me and my presentation, right? And they would say, 7, 8, something like that. And I would say, all right, great, thanks, I appreciate that. What do I need to do to get to 10? What do I need to do? Tell me. What would make it a 10? I would ask people, I would say, they say, well, we want to think it over. There's some other agents that we want to talk to, and, so, we're not going to. And I say, I understand how you feel. I understand how you feel. I mean, this is an important decision. You want to think about it and talk to as many people. But, according to you, I've done, it seems like we get along together and we can work together. And I've obviously put a lot of time. You're going to hear my listing appointment. When we get to listing appointments, I put in a lot of time. And, I'd really like to work with you. And since I'm here, I'd like to wrap it all up. Tell me, what do I need to do to get you to work with me tonight? What would it take? Tell me. Well, tell me, right? And then people sometimes would say, well, if we could list it at this price, or if you'd list it at this commission, or they would say, and I would say, well, if is that it, right? I mean, if I can do that, then are you saying we're willing to work with me tonight, right? And if they say yes, I would say, fine, done, shake their hand, pull out the listing agreement, hand them the pen, and point where they're supposed to sign. If they said, well, we have some appointments with other agents, I said, well, I understand that, but if you've already made a decision to work with me, meeting with them is only going to be a waste of their time, and their time, I'm sure, is very valuable. Once you've hired me, I'm your agent, so I would be able to I'd be the one that would communicate with them. How about this? Right? Why don't we not put it in the multiple listing service for 48 hours? And so once I take the listing, I'm going to contact those other agents that you've made appointments with, and I'll let them know that you've already decided that I'm working with you, but we're going to give them a head start, right? 48 hours, so that if they have any buyers, they can bring them by, and that they could maybe sell the house before we put it in the MLS. By the way, these are really fun calls to make, right? Because I'd call the agent up, hey, how you doing? I hear you have an appointment tomorrow night. I listed it tonight, but this is just a courtesy call. All those buyers you told them that you had, you can bring them by. And then sometimes they would curse at me and hang up. But you understand the idea that I would also, this is related to this, by the way, what I'm doing. I would ask buyers on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, how do they think their credit is? Right? What do you think? On a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, with 10 being perfect credit, and 1 being you're an unemployed, bankrupt arsonist, right? What do you think it would be? Now, do you understand? And people would, and some people would say, well, ours is probably an 8 or a 9, right? So this idea that we grade it, right? Some people, I know the new school system is you don't grade, right? But you might want to grade yourself on how well you're doing. And getting into a habit of this may be useful in other areas. Time block for unfinished business. Did everybody understand the time blocking I did with Google Calendar? Right? Did everybody understand what I did? Did that make sense? You know how to find those videos, right? You know how to find those videos. By the way, if you don't like my videos, do you think you could find videos on how to use Google Calendar? Gee, yeah, you think so? All right, you type in, how do I use Google Calendar? Send me an email. I'll copy it, paste it in Google. One guy sent me an email. It was about a paragraph that long, and I copied the whole paragraph and put it in, and it came up with the answer, right? And I said it back, and he said, well, I didn't think you could do like a whole paragraph. You see, I'm trying to get people to think of that first, right? So any of those things on that checklist that you have not done, you should write them down and decide when you're going to do it. Revisit your goals. This is, for those of you that missed session 1, or the idea is that by this date, 1 year from now, how much GCI stands for gross commission income. Gross commission income do you want to earn? 70,000 is capping, 100,000, 150. What is the average sales price in your area? Single family home median, which is below average, is 600,000, right? But I've showed you how to find that. What is the average commission? I would use for a side about 2.5%, right? It's not 3, right? It's not 3, right? It's not always 6.
We're going through 5 now.
Well, 5.5. Well, 2.5. I'm just saying to be conservative. The average commission is probably it's about 2, maybe 2.5 to the selling agent, something like that. So why not put 2.5%? So what that's going to do is divide your gross commission income by the average amount of a commission, and that'll tell you how many contracts you need. This is not a perfect system, because what you're going to find is that the amount you make on a listing and the amount you make on a buyer may vary. Right? Generally, as a general rule, sometimes listing agents don't make as much as selling agents. That's because listings are a lot easier than buyers. Right? You understand? It's a lot more work. Buyers are way more time consuming. When I had 15 listings, I did not look overwhelmed. I did not act overwhelmed. You understand? I really wasn't overwhelmed. It wasn't going to kill me. 5 buyers will kill you. Right? You understand? At 5 buyers, you'll start losing everybody because you can't work with anybody because there's too much to do. Right? You understand? 15 listings isn't much harder at 15 than it was at 10. Right? It wasn't a big difference. Right? I'm just saying. Right? So, but this will give you a rule of thumb to start with. My recommendations for new people or even people that are revitalizing, buyers are easier to work with. I know that right now there's not a lot of inventory. Listings are good too. You want to have a balanced approach, but that will change. Right? Whatever it is now, it will change. Right? Not that long ago, it was a buyer's market. Now it's a seller's market. Usually what happens when it's a seller's market is more sellers put their homes on the market, and then it becomes more of a buyer's market. Right, but so that would also mean that you need to have pending contracts. Right, first this is closed, right, because we know how many we're going to have to close. We're going to need to know how many pending. Now, this says in our marketplace, you should assume that 80% of your contracts that you open are going to close. It's just a rule of thumb. If the better you are at qualifying buyers and sellers, the higher that percentage is going to be. My percentage was way better than 80%, but I'm assuming that you're not great at this, right? So some transactions are going to fall through. They're going to find something wrong with the house that they didn't know about, not want to buy it. They're going to lose their job. Something's going to happen, right? So not every pending sale closes. This may not be a great metaphor, but it's like engagements. They don't always end in marriage. Not always. And then signed agreements. Now, by signed agreements, we mean either a listing agreement or a buyer loyalty agreement. Not all listings sell. In our marketplace right now, it's over 90%. Of the listings are selling, but they still don't all sell, and not all buyers buy, right? So you might assume that 60% of your buyers are going to buy right now because there's inventory issues, right? And they may not find anything that they want, right? Those figures have a tendency to change. But what you need to do to make this work is that you have to come up with something and then count your figs, right? You understand? Track your mileage. Your mileage may vary. And then when you'll start to get a sense, well, 80% of my buyers buy and 95% of those close. Do you understand? Pretty soon, agents that are good at this can work backwards. They know how much money they're making, right? Within wiggle room. Appointments. How many appointments do you need to have in order to get a listing contract? Right? 5, maybe, when you're new. If it's more than that, you need to work on your listing appointment. 3 as you get better at it. 2 if you get really good at it. But let's say that you could say that half of your list, how many appointments with buyers end up in them signing a buyer loyalty agreement and agreeing to work with you exclusively? You might start with half for appointments right now, right? And see how well you do. So, how many appointments do you need to get each week? Do you understand how you're going to get a, does this make sense? Does everybody understand what we're doing here? Is there anything about this that seems complicated, right? Because what we're doing is we're working backwards. I'm going to need so many appointments in order to get so many agreements, in order to get so many pendings, in order to get so many closed, in order to make the money I want to make. Then what you're going to need to do, all right, this isn't here, but there's in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, there's some numbers. How many calls do you have to make to get an appointment? How many people do you have to talk to before you get an appointment? Well, you have to start calling people. It depends on who you're calling. Right, do you understand sphere of influence will have a different number than cold calls around a recent sale, which will be different from expired listings, which will be different from for sale by owners. But you should try all of them and do everything and track how many doors do you knock on and talk to people before you get an appointment, right? So if we figure out we need to make X number of contacts in order to get an appointment, and we need so many appointments in order to get a signed agreement, and we need so many signed agreements in order to get a pending sale, and we need so many pending sales to get a closed sale, to understand we can work backwards to figure out, well, how many contacts do we have to make each day? Now, by the way, because a lot of these numbers are guesses, right? You could use this as an example. You could just start by making 10 contacts a day and tracking how that goes from the other end, right? Does this make, yeah?
Just a quick question on something we talked about earlier. Most of the time, eaten up by buyers, is it through showing properties? Showing property
and researching the MLS and previewing property.
Okay.
Right? If you're going to work with buyers correctly, and we have a class coming up on working with buyers, you should preview the property before you show it, which you can't afford to do if they haven't agreed to work with you exclusively. Right? I mean, they can be very time consuming, right? And they may write more than one offer. You're going to need to learn how to use the e-signature system that we have. The CAR has one, there's DocuSign, we have one, and because what will happen is that you'll be writing multiple offers sometimes, and you don't want to have to get in your car and drive over to their house with a printed out form for them to sign a contract they already understand, because this is the 6th time they've done it. Right? You want to be able to do it by electronically. Visualize your big why. If you, by the way, were to, that Rick Jiha, remember that was Rick Jiha TV, right? Did you see that? Right? He's one of my subscriptions. If you can find, my YouTube channel has lots of good stuff, right? And what's my YouTube channel? 24 San Jose is my YouTube channel. By the way, if you go to Network Rainmaker, you're going to see a YouTube button at the top, and if you click on that, it'll take you to my YouTube channel. Just saying. All right. So the reason I mentioned that, you're going to see that there's a lot of people I subscribe to that you might want to look at, but you may have noticed from Rick Jiha's presentation, he was doing a series on the Big Why. And one way to bring it to is something called a vision board. And what a vision board is, countless successful people create vision boards or vision books, which contain pictures and words that visually represent their most important goals, aspirations, and desired outcomes. In order to achieve goals, they must look at them all the time. In order to achieve goals, you need to look at them all the time. It accomplishes that by serving as a constant reminder of your vision and goals, and renews your energy and enthusiasm for maintaining your focus on the daily 10-4. if you walk around the office, and you, especially if you peek into people that have offices, you're going to see these boards with pictures on them, right? If you ever wondered what they are, that's what they are. We, at times at the office, have a vision board party. How to create it, by the way, if I were to just say how to create a vision board, right, because I might have been wrong about all this, and I were to go to Google, and I were to go to video search, I just happen to like videos, and I typed in, wow, it pops up, right? That means how to make a vision board, how to make a vision board, how to create a vision board. Wow, they're long videos. Wow, there's a 76-minute video on how to make a vision board. There's a 30-minute video. Are there any medium-sized videos? More than 4, but less than 20. There's how to make a vision board, how to make a vision board, how to make a vision board. If I want a bunch of short ones, there's short. So you're going to be able to figure this out, right? Is that right? And if you say, well, I don't like videos, I want to read about how to make a vision board, I can, and if I would like to go down, even Oprah, how to make a vision board, if you go to advanced search and you go down to format and you say, I want something that I can read on my tablet PC, so I want a PDF on how to make a vision board. I can now find PDFs that I can download and read on my, so this is not difficult to do. What one of the things that separates, I know agents that sit around complaining that you don't know how to do something, right? You understand? They just sit around and say, I don't know how to do it. I can't do it. Oh my gosh, I can't figure out how to do this, right? And if you can ask Google, that which knows all, ask Google your question. And guess what you're going to find? They're going to tell you how to do whatever it is you want to do. And if you are really bad, if you type in tutorial for beginners or how to, right? You understand? Type in for beginners, how to create a vision board for beginners, right? This one may not even have, let me see, right here is that file type, for, B-E-G-I-N, for, look at it, you know, for beginners. There's even pictures of sample vision boards, images, right? And these are people, all right, so we can do this, can't we, right? Find a quiet, relaxing place, no distractions, go through magazines or browse the internet. Well, wait a second. How can we find things on the internet? Vision board, oh, that's let's say, and there's a sample here. Let's just look at the sample that's coming up. So here are just ideas, right? Success, abundance, travel. So abundance, I like that. So I type in A-B-U-N-D-A-N-C-E. All right, abundance of money, abundance wealth, abundance quotes, abundance of Catherine's. I don't even know what that is. So I click on abundance, and do I find pictures that might be related to abundance, right? Maybe. And here's a, word art, abundance. So you're not going to have, are you going to have trouble finding pictures? No. Right? If you like magazines, right, these would require that you print them out on a color printer, right? But if you like magazines, can you find magazines with lifestyle pictures, right? If you go to Barnes and Snowball, right, and there's this huge magazine rack, right, and you could pick them up. That costs a little bit more. Some people like the magazines. Aim high, adjust your focus. So archers, when they're arching, is that what they call that, arching? But anyhow, when they're arching, they aim above the target, right? That's because they know that it drops. It's not to, if you're aiming at the target and you miss, that's not actually a bad thing. It's simply means you need to refocus your aim, right? Which is why we want to track what we're doing and make adjustments. Anyone can succeed, but not everyone will. Why? The ones that do succeed have focus, the ability to concentrate their thoughts and actions to the most important tasks. And that's what we're supposed to be doing in this class, the Daily 10-4. Have I mentioned that most people that start into real estate don't make it? Right? Most of them don't come to Ignite. Most of them who come to Ignite don't do anything. Right? You know, I'm just saying that a lot of times people who come to Ignite do not do the Daily 10-4. Right? I like to share this that, I've had people say, well, farming doesn't work. Right? I came from an office. I mean, I sold a lot of homes from farming. Right? If you tell me farming doesn't work, it's like, I've had people say you don't make any money calling for sale by owners and expireds. Guess what Quincy does? He calls for sale by owners and expireds. And he doesn't come to all the team meetings because he's busy. Well, he was at a team meeting and we were giving out awards. Who called how many expireds last week? Quincy raised his hand and said 40. He knew exactly how many he called that week, right? So if you believe that you can't make any money calling expireds, I wouldn't share that with him, right? Do you understand? Because he's going to look at you like you've lost your mind. Right? Do you understand that most people don't take action? They don't talk to 10 people a day, 5 days a week. They don't spend time learning the business, right? They thought this was going to be easy, that they would make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, right? You put your license on the wall and people come by and drop off money. Right, I've been doing this I've been training agents since 80, I was training brokers from 86 to since 1991. I've been training new agents and used agents. And most don't do anything that fail. And I like to say, I joined a health club once and it didn't work. No. Health clubs don't work. I joined one. It didn't work. And I, by the way, I spent 10 years reading Muscle and Fitness magazine. Obviously, they don't know what they're talking about, right? Isn't that right? It didn't work. Isn't that amazing? Didn't work, right? Huh? Didn't work. So, it's those who do will succeed, and the good news for us is most don't. Right? Do you understand? If everybody did it, then there wouldn't be any opportunity for you. Right? People say, well, there's too many real estate agents, you can't make any money. There's too many bad real estate agents. Right? 80%, it's, actually the CAR said it was 87 to 13. 87% of the agents were making 13% of the commissions, and 13% of the agents were making 87% of the commissions, according to a couple of years ago, the California Association of Realtors survey. Right? So it's still pretty close to 80-10, 80-20, or almost getting up. But do you understand, you want to be in the 20% that make 80% of the money, not in the 80% that are fighting over 20% of the money.
In the business brokerage side of real estate, it's only 10% even last a year.
Well, as an office, that's true.
It's really different.
I'm surprised most of them made it a year. So you need to make the Daily 10-4 your focus. You need to time block. You need to protect that time, right? You need to be accountable. Now, one of the things, and this is the accountability feedback loop. This comes from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Set goals, do the Daily 10-4, measure results, evaluate, and make adjustments. And then you can set new goals. Reward yourself. You should, if you reach your goals, you ought to have some sort of a reward built in. This is called, B.F. Skinner wrote about conditioning behavior, and the thing is, it works. One of the guy who's doing Bold, he has a young son who was complaining because he was going to be gone 4 days a week. And so he asked the kid, well, what would you like us to do? And he wanted to go to Africa to see cheetahs, right? And so the father said, well, if you can handle me being gone 4 days a week without this being a problem, at the end of this session, we'll go to Africa, right? And he said the kid basically looked at his watch and said, shouldn't you be going now? Isn't it time for you to leave? Right now, but you understand that some of you may have others that you need to share your goals with and get their buy-in, right? Just saying. So you should choose. We're going to do this. Choose a reward. There are coaching systems. We have one at the office. Some of you are going to be part of it. Some of you may not be. It depends on whether you choose to be or are new. It's sort of required if you're new. If you're not new and you want to know about how it works, talk to me. You should pick an accountability and a script partner. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 6 people in the room. Isn't that nice? And so the idea is that, and it doesn't have to be somebody in the class, although it doesn't hurt. My accountability partner is Kelly for the Bold session. It's our Kelly. And so at 8 o'clock every morning, we're going to call and talk to each other, right, about, did you say your affirmation today? How did you do today? What are your plans for today? Right? How did you do yesterday? You understand the value in that. Also, have I mentioned the idea that you need to practice scripts? Right? And so misery loves company. Isn't that the idea? So you should pick somebody to practice scripts with. And then you should set times to meet to do this. Right? You should have a time to call and talk to each other. You should have a time to meet and practice scripts. Can you do that? Right? So you can look for somebody here or find somebody, but what you're going to want to do, they don't have to be the same person, but they certainly could be. And meet with your accountability partners. Share your daily 10-4s, your goals for GCI, which stands for Gross Commission Income, transactions, wins and opportunities, how you're going to reward yourself. All right, we could do this now in class, but you need to be open to accountability, hold someone else accountable. These are the questions you would want to discuss with your accountability partner. And get to work. Time block the following activities. Upcoming highly successful open house. Next week, we're having a session. This was really designed to be a Friday session. Our system is a little off the standard. But tomorrow, what is tomorrow's class? I don't know. Working with buyers? Probably. It's working with buyers, and the buyer's consultation will be next Monday. Finding and show homes will be. So we're going to, starting tomorrow, we're going to be doing buyers. And next week we'll finish buyers. I'm going to share with you my buyer loyalty agreement that I used to use and go through the different kinds, what all your options are. I'm going to show you my buyer presentation, my home buyer seminar slides, all these things I've got in a Dropbox folder, which I'll share with everybody. You're allowed, you have to ignore the fact that they have logos from other companies on them because I used to work elsewhere, but you're welcome. They're all PowerPoint presentations, and you're welcome to change them and put your name on them and do whatever you would like, right? That's going to be next week. Any ahas? Anything anybody would like to share about? Can we leave now? Is that the only aha you have?
I started calling people that I had done business with really interested